Salman and I represent Kamayi, and today we're here with another episode of Career Conversations with two very special guests, people we've been working with and have known for a while now, two very well-known people in this ecosystem, Umar Shah and Fatma Mazir.
Hi guys.
Hi guys.
Umar and Fatma are both leaders in COLABS, which is basically a co-working space really shaping up the office environment in Pakistan. And so today our discussion is going to be around exactly this. Before we start, I'd just like both of them to sort of introduce themselves briefly. So Umar, agar aap shuru kar dein.
Hi guys. I don't know introduction. I'm the founder and CEO of COLABS. I am an ex-investor by profession. I spent 10 years working in private equity, venture capital, in emerging markets from Mexico to Africa to Turkey to Pakistan. I moved back to Pakistan in 2019 to launch what is COLABS today. Initially, COLABS was, when my vision was that we would want to make this ecosystem where we have startups, enterprise clients, freelancers, everyone in one space. And I think the last 2.5, 3 years, we really built something special. So I mean, what we've built here today is something very unique that no one in Pakistan has been able to do. And I think our plan is that we want to open these spaces all across the country. And we want anyone that comes out of university or anyone that's looking for a job and they don't end up getting a job. I mean, their journey as an entrepreneur, it can start at COLABS. COLABS helps them not just get a desk, meet people, network, open their first company, meet investors. So I think what we've really done that's special is really creating this atmosphere and ecosystem today in Pakistan.
Hi guys, my name is Fatma. I've worked in the tech ecosystem for the past 10-12 years. I've worked for two amazing tech unicorns. One of them is Kareem, and I was the head of expansion there, and the other one is Keep Truckin', and I was the head of Pakistan for Keep Truckin'. I came to COLABS to sit down, take an office, and figure out what I wanted to do next after I'd taken a break in my career. And one thing led to another, and I figured that COLABS should not only be in Lahore, it should be in every possible city of Pakistan because it's such a great product. And so now I'm going to be heading expansion for COLABS and bringing it to all of you in different cities, inshallah, very, very soon. And I'm their chief operating officer at the moment.
You can become chief executive if you want to.
I think it's too hard a job. Always choose to be COO and never CEO.
Thank you guys. It's a pleasure to be here. I think our experience with COLABS so far has been great in the sense that we work together. We've known Umar and Fatma for a while now. We see eye to eye in a lot of things. And I think there's a lot of scope in what you guys are doing and expanding that across Pakistan because it really does help a lot of companies with not just setting up operations but also running these operations. आज का basically मकसद is just to have a conversation to really understand how are you, what is the thought behind this office environment shake-up, how has this happened, and so my first question I guess would be directed to Umar. Co-working किसके लिए है? Who is it really for? You know, when we come into co-working spaces like COLABS in Lahore, you see a really nice office environment and it seems like a very narrow audience in terms of person that is using the service. Who is it really for and how do you plan on expanding it to the mainstream over the next few months or years?
So traditionally, co-working was for mostly startups, freelancers. But as you see remote work changing globally, and in the last 5 years, flexible offices have grown about 30% year on year. Today, 20% of all office space in the US is flexible. 15% of all office space in Europe is flexible. So the world is changing, and traditionally co-working was like, okay, fine, beanbags pade hue hain, table hai, station hai. That's not the case anymore. Today, large companies like Deloitte, Microsoft, all of them use flexible spaces. Why? Because I think people are moving away from a fixed work. Remote work is the future. So just to answer that question, in a nutshell, co-working today is not just for the freelancer. It is for large corporates. It's for enterprise clients. It's for companies that don't want to take the headache of an office. But it's not just about the headache. It's the way they want their teams and their employees to come in a larger community so they can learn. I mean, typically when you go to an office, you see the same people every day. Unless you move jobs, then you see different people. In flexible spaces, like ours, and why do I call say the word flexible and not co-working? Because globally the name is changing to flexible spaces. And that's why I think as well what's very important to know is that flexible
You can
spaces.
start calling COLABS flexible labs next time.
Yeah. The co is not from co-working. Co is from collaboration because when the co of collabs comes from collaboration because the whole spirit is collaboration and community. So
that's very good. And has COVID impacted or accelerated the uptake of co-working? Do you think?
yeah, so just before this, I'm speaking to someone on Silicon Valley who had asked me the same question. कि जी COVID से क्या impact आया? Globally, आप देखेंगे, even today, I mean, 50% companies have moved remote, right? I mean, all the banks in the US and the Middle East and Europe are all working remote. So post-COVID, I think the world realized that you don't need physical offices. I mean, you need offices, you need to meet, you need to have meetings, but generally, remote work is the future.
Yeah.
And I think generally as well, that's what's pushing forward.
And Akmal, it's interesting that you mentioned कि आप पहले as a customer आई थी. And I also know that I think Kareem also utilizes co-working or flexible working, whether here or somewhere else. And so companies are also, it's not just a case of freelancers, yeah, individuals, yeah, choti companies, big companies are also using this. And so sitting on the other side of the table first, what made you want to sort of try out a place like COLABS for yourself when you initially tried it out?
Look, when I was thinking of what I wanted to do next, I wanted to have a space where I could come in, really think and utilize that space for a few hours, maybe longer hours, few hours a day, few days a week, sorry. And I thought, why not go to a co-working space? Because I wouldn't have to build out an office. I wouldn't have to take all the hassle. They'll take all the hassle. I'll just come. Everything will be ready. I'll use it and I'll go. And I couldn't think of a better place because if I had to go to build out an office, that would be very difficult. And plus, I'd have to be in a long-term contract.
Yeah.
Co-working gives you, or COLABS gave me the option of a 3-month contract or a 6-month contract for a smaller office. Obviously, we don't do that for larger offices. So that's one thing. The other thing that's very interesting is I've been on the other side as somebody who's built out offices, and it's been really difficult, especially in Pakistan. Building out offices means that you have to think of so many things. You have to have a whole team or sets of teams that manages the office that all of you sit in. And I think post-COVID, people have realized that you don't need a fully functional team. So I think now more than anything, what we need to tell people is let's take away that hassle from you. Why don't you just move into co-working spaces and then not focus on that? That takes a lot of money off. Like if people are going towards Airbnb instead of hotels are also shifting to Airbnb, Netflix, Uber and Kareem were solving the same issue that you don't need to have a car. Just take a car when you need it. So I think that's the same trend, and co-working spaces, post-COVID especially, are just now replacing the need to have this big asset / cost on your P&L. You can use that to hire better people, put it in technology instead of putting it here, and let us take on all that hassle. And we are, 1/4 or at least, if not more, 50% cheaper than having your own office space.
Yeah,
so it makes sense.
For me, it makes sense also as a co-working as an option because of the fact that just the time that you spend in dealing with small administrative issues,
Exactly.
AC खराब हो गया, आज ये नहीं चल रहा, or this guy's off, or we don't have coffee, and those things. Those problems just disappear, and so it makes our life a lot easier as people who are just able to focus on work.
And then you can focus on what the real
the actual
problem is,
important things. Okay, and the next question then I guess is that the alternative for someone who comes to COLABS as a company is setting up your own office. What are some of the most serious mistakes that companies can make when setting up new offices, or even when they try to come into a place like COLABS, for example? अगर मैंने या तो अपना सेटअप करना है तो उसमें मैं क्या गलतियां कर सकता हूँ जो कि फॉर एग्जांपल COLABS मेरे लिए वो रिस्क मिटिगेट कर सकती है?
That's a really good question. I think the biggest one is a lot of companies don't plan out for their expansion or cannot foresee contraction of a team. So when you expand, say you've moved into a space, you've rented it for 10, जितने भी साल के लिए आप करेंगे 5-year lease, and suddenly now you need to expand. it's a big problem because then you have to build it out again. With COLABS, you have that option of saying, hey, can we get 30 more seats,
yeah.
one more office. It is really, really simple to do that. The other thing you can do is you can have expensive leases. You can choose the wrong area. With COLABS, what we're planning to do is have COLABS in different parts of the city, right? So if you have a team that is more people and some of them want to work out of Gurdwara and some of them want to work out of there, you get that flexibility as well. I think so. There's a lot of these issues, but I think the biggest mistake is not planning out well enough on how long you're going to be in that space, how many people are you going to need, and what happens suddenly if you are stuck in a situation where you do not need all that space. Hiring the right people to manage the workplace is a big deal. The right kind of generators, the right kind of assets that you need, the right kind of furniture, all of that worry is instantly taken away. But I'd love to hear Umer's
I have a different question for you slightly though, because you guys started COLABS before the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I know you've seen flexible workspaces internationally. We work wherever आपने बैठे हुए काम किया वहाँ पे. When you started COLABS, was there anything that you got wrong in your service bundle that you offered your clients, or something that you realized later, yeah, this is really important to offer and this is something that was not being offered initially, or some learning that you encountered each way?
Yeah, I think one thing I saw was that globally, most spaces, they run autonomously. There's like 1,000 banda on it, and they just have 2 receptionists. Everyone is working themselves. I think Pakistan when we opened, the difference is that people are used to coffee being served, water being served, all of them. But I think today, the members we have today, and we learned this for a second facility. So in the first facility, we would have, butler service or coffee service in the rooms. In the second facility, we just built coffee stations on each floor. And I just told everyone, coffee bhi hai, pani bhi hai, chai bhi hai. And I think that is something as well as we grow and scale up as well. What we're trying to do is that we're trying to really push forward and promote the sort of autonomous way of sort of spaces being run. And I mean, I've seen this all across Europe, but obviously Pakistan, service industry, we are in the service industry. But at the same time as well, I mean, as long as you, like, even if you go to a room and you give someone instruction, which a TV aise on karna, cable aise lagani hai, Wi-Fi kaise connect karna hai, just figure it out. So I think we slowly should push towards more autonomous spaces where you have, right now, for example, the COLABS, the Georgetown building, we have a team of 2 running. I mean, finally, we have lots of cleaners, but 2 people. In this building, we have like 50 people running it. So, like, I mean, huge difference. If I take out the operation team, there's still 7-8 people running it. So, from that perspective, I think as we grow our spaces, we're making them more autonomous.
You're making them more lean also.
Yeah, more lean. I mean, you know this for a fact. I mean, you've sat with us for our chart how many times have you sat and seen the problems. I think the difference is because we scaled so fast. Other companies in the market have been there for a while. They have processes, systems, everything. Because we went from here to here, there was no room in the middle.
That's very interesting, actually. Anything that you think is something else that is slightly different in the flexible working spaces in Pakistan and abroad?
I think it would be the autonomous thing. I worked out of co-working spaces. I spent a lot of time in Turkey working at those co-working spaces, and except for the first day when they handed me a key and I signed a contract, I didn't have to interact with the team at all. So, but we are working on how to make. There's one to make it anonymous, but also to really make it digitally accessible so that there is no human element.
Okay. So that's
a work.
That's not necessarily replacing the service element. That's making your experience digital.
Digital, yes.
So all the things that you could possibly require, any queries you have, any tickets you need to raise, all are managed.
All are digital managed.
That's very exciting. Okay. अब मेरा आपसे एक बड़ा interesting सवाल था कि वो Google में बड़ी एक famous slide है in the interior of the office, and famously it's supposed to help employee experience and really make people happy. Have you guys ever thought about anything? I know you have this there's no place like work sign जो कि famous ho chuka hai. But have you ever thought of anything like that?
So I think in our third facility, which is much larger, I mean, we have a very big reception. We put in pool tables, more foosball, more stuff like that. I mean, we can very easily put like into McDonald's kids area. I mean, balls are meeting room hota hai. I mean, that's something to do. But my only concern is my hygiene factor. Pakistan, I उसको साफ करना control करना क्या तरीका Otherwise, I mean, for us, because we understand real estate very well. I mean, to build anything for us, it's very easy. Like I tell the team, I said the client wants a gold table, we can bring it for them. Just to pay for it.
Yeah, whatever they need actually. Yeah. Okay, and anything else?
I have a feeling that the art in this place,
Yeah.
which I am so fond of, it is one of the things that really attracted me once when I came. And one day, the next day when I came, I just went around and looked at all the art. I think it gives a different touch. And if you look at all our clients, they usually say, "Can we have another art piece? Can we change your art piece?" And you know, the team's done an amazing job. Can you explain more about how you got about doing this? Because this is a very interesting story.
So I think I myself have always been, I mean, I like art, I've been a collector, whatnot. So I think when I came to COLABS, there's a program I saw in Mexico at the Facebook office. It's called Facebook Artist in Residence. Basically, each Facebook campus, they have a curator and they work with the local artists to sort of do up the space as well. So for us, I realized that, I mean, and the first time this happened was I was sitting in a talk, I think it was a talk about technology or something, an auditorium. And during the talk, I was sitting next to a guy, so I asked the guy, I was like, what do you guys think COLABS? Where do you think you are? He said, so my IT company man, I was like a call center man. I mean, I was very disappointed to see like such a call center. And I remember like when I got working with a digital artist, I asked her, I said, what do you think COLABS is? She said that, she said, I don't think it's a space where artists can come or designers can come. And when I told her that you can take a desk for 15,000, like, I mean, it's cheaper than gym membership. And for 12 hours, we give you coffee, tea, internet. She was shocked. So then what we did was, we set up an initiative called the COLABS Creative Collective, which is basically an art initiative. And today, in our collection, we have 150 pieces. We have 30 to 40 different artists. And I think what really makes a difference is a lot of artists from BNU, from NC over here, they want to come and give us their work. We actually buy it. We don't take it for free. We pay for it. But now the initiative is sort of coming out where actually we will be doing maybe a quarterly exhibition, some design talks. Along with that, they get a platform. Like someone that comes and displays an art piece here or comes and does something for COLABS, because we're a startup, we can't pay. It's like the famous story of Facebook where someone paid for a mural, it was paid like, I don't know, 500 shares. That 500 shares are worth today at like $30 million, right? So the same way when an artist comes to me, I'm like, listen, this is the max I can pay. So like they might come and do a mural for us for 30 or 40,000, but that same mural they're going to charge Coca-Cola like 500,000. But I mean the point is that what can I offer? I can offer space. I can offer very minimal cost because we're a startup. But I mean that's why I think today, I mean we've really launched a lot of artists and we've done really well, and I think it's super exciting.
Yeah, it looks. I think the right way to say this would be it doesn't look like an office, but you get all the services that you need for one. And so it's a very fun place to come and work, and like visually engaging also. I remember this one time we got an office for ourselves back when we were just starting out. Just a really small, really fun. My team named Kamayi, after a while she quit, and someone was asking us why, and she said, I feel like I'm working in a mental asylum. So I hope that comment was not directed at us as people, but more about the environment.
I'm sure it was.
But khair, agla, I think, so COLABS basically says that it is redefining the future of work in Pakistan. There's a lot of different thoughts about what the future of work globally looks like, but to you, Fatma, for example, what does the future of work look like in Pakistan specifically?
That's a really good question. Umar, why don't you start?
I think very simply, traditional work in Pakistan has been big offices. You CEO का office है, CMO का office है, CFO का office है, cubicles, no form of interaction. Also, like university, when you're in university, you meet people, you interact, you network. I think the future of work for us, and why I say we want to open 100,000 seats and 5 million square feet around the country, is because that I feel that today, like you have McDonald's or you have a Hotel One, there is no consistent space across the country that provides that, right? So for me,
You mean that
that
standardized service?
standardized service, wherever you
क्या भेड़ा भी जाए
Like, आप अगर फैसलाबाद भी जाओ,
सेम
और आप
स्पेस
एक
मिलेगा
आप फर्स्ट अपना ऑफिस फैसलाबाद में खोल रहे हो, you have to get your own generator, PM, admin, staff, XYZ. The idea for us is that we want to create these spaces everywhere, and it's not just for the startup. We have clients that have 100% office.
Yeah.
We have billion-dollar companies that. So the idea is that it's not just okay, it's for one person. So the future of work for me is that offices where you can service everyone. And one thing I say in all my sort of discussions is we service the full spectrum: the freelancer, the startup, the SME, and the enterprise. So I mean, it's not just okay, we're focused on startups and freelancers. It's not just enterprise focused that some of our competitors do. It's the whole. And I think that's what makes us special. We don't like co-working. I mean, we sell co-working seats below the market, or at times at a very low rate. Why? Because we feel that it's the co-working members that build community, right? So I mean, it's a good mix of that.
So I think we were talking about redefining the future of work in Pakistan, but essentially future of work has been redefined due to Corona as well. And now we're going to service that need. And I'll explain how. Previously, even as recently as me being in Keep Trucking, and this is pre-Corona, we were trying to hire engineers. And so engineers were available all over the country, and some of them were asking for remote work. And we said no remote work because essentially we need you here. So a lot of times what's happening is a lot of people are moving from the likes of Faisalabad, Sialkot, up, Mari Salogar, and they're moving here. You're paying them a little bit more because they have to pay rent now, you have to do all of that now. Can you imagine a world where if a company, like say a PNG, wants to hire and they don't transport people to Karachi, Lahore, because everywhere they have COLABS and COLABS is available everywhere, so they can say, okay, we're going to take 100 seats in Sialkot, 100 seats in Faisalabad, and so that it's making it easier for people and more people can work for these companies instead of having to leave their families, their homes, come pay rent here. And so my idea always has been, Omar and I always are aligned, but sometimes how we get to that same point is different. And my thing is we need to make it easier for everyone. And once we are in these spaces, people will not need to build out those many offices. So we will build them out and they will just take spaces.
And I guess that solves even slightly bigger problems like ये जो urban displacement की हम लोग बात करते हैं कि वहाँ से लोगों को उठ के आना पड़ता है.
And it's very difficult.
Not because आने का शौक है, but आना पड़ता है because the fact that opportunities यहाँ पे are limitless compared.
And I essentially think that our women workforce will increase a lot because a lot of time very talented women are not allowed to leave wherever they are to come move here. So imagine that space. Also with remote work becoming a big reality and a lot of offers coming into Pakistan for remote work. What I learned when we went remote is people might like working at home, but the internet is choppy. चलो आप internet भी solve कर दोगे, space का कैसे solve करोगे? Where are you going to solve this space? Because people are living with their kids in one room most of the time. Because they're living in this family system. So, unke liye, during Corona, what people had done was they'd taken space in people's offices that were open और वहाँ पे बैठ के काम करें. So imagine if we can say, well, you're remote, but here pay 15,000 for a desk. You're earning in dollars, pay 15,000 for a desk and have a space to come. Even if you're remote, because the internet will be good, you'll have a structured space.
Reliability होगी काम की, हाँ. चलिए उमर से पूछो पहले. What's next for COLABS?
Yeah, I think what's key also is that we really want to change Pakistan. I mean, we'll change the word eventually, Pakistan. But the idea is that I think we want to be that company that is in every city. We have over 100,000 seats, and the next billion-dollar company that anyone would want to come work for. I mean, anyone looking to work in a super fast company with super intelligent people. I'm not super intelligent, Father might be, but I mean, anyways, please come and apply.
So, Papa, what's next for COLABS?
COLABS is going to be present in every city of Pakistan very, very soon. And we can't do it without the help of all of you. We're a super fun place to work, and everyone has priorities. We do want to get to being the next $1 billion company. We do want to take over the world, but our dream also is to be the best employer in the country. If there was a ranking, COLABS wants to be ranked #1 in employee happiness. And so come join us so we can all be happy together and get some great work done.